Hello, Haygood family. This is Will Zant. We're here with our Hang On, Hang In, Haygood today. I'm delighted to let you know that we have the Fedotas, Gary and Sarah Fedota. We're glad to have them with us. And the format's very simple. We just want to do a check-in with our church members to see how they're doing. And we pose it as, how are you hanging on? Like, what's been your experience in the midst of COVID-19? How do you encourage your other church members right now just to keep hanging in, keep hanging on? How do you encourage them to do that? And lastly, Sarah and Gary, want to ask, what do you miss about your awesome church family? Y'all been here a long time at Haygood, know a lot of stories. And so what do you miss about the people? That's what this is about. So thank y'all for being on the show today. We appreciate it. So good to have you. So I want to begin with the first question. Y'all are my neighbors and I've seen y'all around and we've talked several times. And so I want you to tell the community, how have you guys been hanging on in the midst of COVID-19?
It's been more difficult than I anticipated in many ways. Well, first of all, I anticipated a couple of weeks, but the duration of the quarantine, the not having an end to it, I think it's been difficult for me to acknowledge that that's the case, and even more difficult to deal with the fact that that's the case. I think that's sort of an important message that I have for people, is that this is the pits, and it's not only okay, it's probably therapeutic to acknowledge that, and not to be too, everything isn't just fine. Everything is really sort of a mess. But that having been said, getting ready for this, I had to acknowledge that there are things I discovered in the process. And it's probably good form to admit that, because I can get really wrapped up in feeling miserable about the way things are going.
Yeah, it's interesting, Gary. I think you're exactly right. You named a feeling that we all feel. We thought when we got into this, 2 to 3 weeks, we'd cancel church and we'd be back together in 3 weeks. Definitely didn't think we'd be past Easter. And then I'd even thought about, okay, we missed Easter. We'll do something this summer that's like Easter. And just never happened. We never got a chance to really say goodbye to one another. And so it's really been hard. I thought about too, you've been working to put some yard signs together, and I was trying to think of the message, and we went with a very positive, like, be courageous, be strong. There was a part of me that thought maybe the best message to say is, this stinks. I mean, this is not what we want. So I resonated when you said that. What about you, Sarah?
Well, to take that to a positive note, one thing we've realized is that we are very lucky. We don't have 5 and 7-year-olds at home. We don't have college students or high school students who want to be somewhere else desperately. We do have each other. And we have a 13-and-a-half-year-old cat who is sick. But I appreciate your having us, because one of my interests is the intergenerational nature of Haygood. And in 1990, we were those young people with the 2-year-old. Now we're in a good place, quite honestly. It's there are certainly struggles in not seeing our son in California, not seeing Gary's son and our grandchild and respective wives in Maryland. But we know we're in a good place.
And in sum, this is it's a whole lot easier for us. We just sort of shut the door, hunker down, and that's it. We don't have to wrangle little kids, and both of us are working, but not semi-retired, maybe the term, and so there's not a lot of pressure there. And my son, who's your age, define three specific kinds of response to it. One is young in the adult population, young adults who just want to go out and be with their peers and are full of all sorts of risky behavior. To people with small kids who are just torn in different directions. And three, the older generation who just, it's like, go away, sit by yourself, don't interact, and try not to get it.
We were extremely careful. We started staying in on March 13th.
Yeah.
We don't have anyone come in the house. We have had friends on the porch for distancing. But one of the things, to go back to your question about what we have been doing, as Gary said, we've both had some work, Gary more than I, and there are always projects. And a project inside the house that we had put off for a couple of years.
Many years.
We've got numbers on that now, so we know what that will cost. We had put off for 4 years doing lawn stuff, hardscape, landscape. And we started that, and we bought a car. And we bought the car from our son in California and had to have it transported here on a car carrier. So that actually took about 2 weeks to arrange, and thankfully our son did most of it. But we have tackled some projects. That's one thing we've done.
You got to have a project. You got to have something to work on to feel positive about what you've done with your day. That's right. Well, how would you encourage other people at this point, just your church family, to be inspired, to stay with it? I mean, it does stink, but we need some encouragement now. How would you encourage others?
Well, let me just take a step back from that to the whole issue of church family. And I tell you, one of the things that I've missed terribly in all of this is that the range of relationships that I've got on Sunday morning when I walk in the door, that, from intimately close friends to, gee, do I know your name? But particularly with a mask on at Kroger, I mean, people come up and introduce themselves at Kroger because you don't see them, and you sure don't interact with them in the same way. That's something that I find that I miss terribly by not showing up here at sort of willy-nilly at 11 o'clock on Sunday, to drag myself to some sort of social interaction.
I think that one of the things that I like to do is water aerobics. And so I haven't been able to do my kind of exercise. The Y was closed. Now it's open and you can reserve a lane, but I'm unwilling to go. Sure. So I have had to encourage myself to walk more and do something that is not my favorite form of exercise by any means. Yesterday, a friend invited us to her home pool, and I got in the water for the first time since early March.
Good.
And it was life-saving. I think for myself, I deal with one day at a time, but I don't get hung up on the longevity of this. I don't know if that's because I haven't allowed myself to, or if it's because I've just putting on rose-colored glasses. I have not particularly focused on, oh my gosh, this may go on for a long, long time, and I don't know that I can tell you I would encourage other people to do that, but it's worked for me.
You know what's interesting is that the scripture that comes to my mind is when the Israelites are wandering in the wilderness and they just get fed daily with manna. They can't think about months or years ahead,
Right.
just one day at a time.
One thing that we have done, and I think the church has done a good job of offering different things. We have not taken advantage of all of them, but we do watch the services, and I find it odd to say I'm watching church. But we had communion together last Sunday. We signed up for the Wesley 21-day challenge. We did not sign up for the buddy groups. We did not come to bingo. So, we're not trying to do just everything the church offers, but we're hanging in there with the things that the church offers that we have chosen to do, and that's really been helpful.
Well, what do you miss about your church family? You guys are heart and soul of Haygood, and so what do you miss?
Everybody says I miss the people, and that is very true. But what I realized for myself, a little bit of what Gary said, some people I'll have long conversations with after church. Some people I will just wave at them across the sanctuary. Some people I'll see them in the choir loft, or I'll see that somebody new is in the choir. And I miss those interactions, whether they were small or longer.
Sure.
I miss handbells. And I miss playing. We have loved the music, the cello, the organ, the flute, the violin, the singers. Don't know if I left anybody out, pianist, but I miss seeing that live, hearing that live. I miss the flowers and the stories about the flowers. So I think the altar bill is incredible, and the routine of it. I mean, we have, for the most part, watched church at 11 on Sunday mornings, and we did that the first several weeks or months for sure. Now we've gotten a little more lax about it, but routine is part of it. The habit. I miss congregational corporate worship.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, me too. Me too.
Yeah.
I said it before, it's hard for me to get over the hump of these are my problems, and recognize the opportunities that have presented themselves. And I can't make a long list, but there have been some good things to come of this. I mean, we're talking about it a little bit earlier, a very short conversation. There are so many opportunities to, when things get tense at home, just sort of drop it and you go and get distracted by something else, somebody else. And because of our isolation, we haven't had that opportunity. I think I've become marginally better at interacting with my wife.
That's good. That's good self-awareness.
I miss seeing the babies baptized.
Yeah.
As I said, we were the people with the 2-year-old when we joined, and I've been fortunate to, work with some of the younger people and know their children. So I miss seeing them.
I feel like the day that we come back into the sanctuary for the first time, we should have like 10 baptisms, you know, communion,
And lots of
trumpets,
music and flowers.
yeah, flowers everywhere, everything.
And a really short service so people can interact on their own.
Exactly. All of it in one, everything in
I
one.
thought you were going to say a really short sermon.
Well, that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank y'all so much for y'all's time. We appreciate it. This has been a hard season for everybody. And so it's good to see everybody, you know, have an opportunity to hear from you guys and to just remember their church family, because this is what the church is about. Love this building, love this place. It is about the people, but there are some special things that happen here, and we'll do it. It'll happen eventually, not sure when, but thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.